This hour is brought to you by Jeremy Temple Law Office of Bloomington. Personal injury, criminal, business, whatever you need, Jeremy Temple Law Office will get you taken care of.
Well, we're coming to your city. Gonna play our guitars and sing you a country song. We'll all be flying higher than a jetliner. And if you want a little bang in your yin yang, come along.
Well, come along and welcome aboard to a coronavirus-free Indiana Sports Beat as we're coming to you live from Indianapolis here on this Thursday as the Big Ten tournament is underway, I guess you'd say. Jim Coyle with you here, Todd Leary with us, and we're joined by Shon. We'll be joined by Shon Morris from the Big Ten Network as well. But a lot to talk about, Todd Leary. This is the wildest, weirdest thing that I've ever been involved with in covering sports. Obviously, that I guess everybody can say that because this is a something that just never happened to us.
Yeah, I mean, this is – we don't even know what to expect when we talk about what it's going to be like for the games today. I mean, I guess we can compare it to, some AAU situations and pickup ball and things like that. But this is just – it's obviously unprecedented.
Sounds good. Well, we're going to welcome in now Shon Morris from the Big Ten Network. Shon, how are you, sir?
I'm doing well. Yourself?
Well, I'm doing fine. Just trying to make heads, tails of all this craziness is going on. My Todd Leary's with me as well. It's just a surreal thing that is happening in the sports world, not in our world, I guess, but it's just something that's we've never encountered before, and it's a weird deal.
Yeah, the only thing that kind of comes to mind, there was up there. They had a mumps outbreak, and they played in front of an empty arena. So it's kind of uncharted territory, that's for sure.
And I just refer back to it. I was talking to Todd. This is just like the AAU days or the summer league games where they get just as hot and heavy. There just aren't a lot of people there. So I don't think the games are going to lack, really. It's just going to be a weird situation once we're all there.
I would agree, because a lot of times some really high-level teams will get together at a site like this, because a lot of teams have gone to having one of those close scrimmages where they can, there's no fans, there's nothing like that are there, but they still go and they play and they compete. So I don't think that the level of intensity is going to be any less than it would be, otherwise, especially with some of these teams, playing to maybe improve their seeding. And, with a team like Indiana, I think they have to feel pretty good about where they are. But if they got one more win, I think it would relieve a lot of anxiety.
Yeah, Todd was talking about how we're wondering about the economic impact of this entire thing, the enormity of this, all the tickets that were sold for NCAA tournament, conference tournaments, hotels, flights, the cost. It's going to be staggering.
Well, it's going to be, and if you just go and look at it, going down even a little bit further down, if you drill down a little bit, when there's no studio presence down here, and so they can do the stuff back in Chicago, but most of the people that work in the television business are freelance people. So if an event like this where they block out 5 days, that's 5 days of income that it's too quick to turn around and replace. So you throw that on top of the bars and restaurants down here that, we're counting on patrons coming. So you have people now that this announcement has been made, they're not going to come. So you've got people who are hourly workers who, depend on this time of year to, generate some of their income. I mean, the ripple effects are pretty significant. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, I ran into some fans at the hotel I'm staying at this morning, and they're from Wisconsin, and they're going back home, and they, had tickets bought and all that stuff, but luckily they drove so they can get back home easily. But there's going to be a lot of people who fly, but yeah, you're hitting a much bigger point, and Mark Cuban addressed that last night. He's going to try to do everything he can to get his people paid, and hopefully a lot of people follow suit. But there are so many people affected by this that really have nothing to do with the actual game or the games themselves, but they are independently affected by it.
Yeah. So many businesses are I guess they call it the gig economy and television, the hotel, the hospitality industry. A lot of those folks, are hourly folks that work on tips. And then, if you're a freelancer and you're booked at whatever your rate is for a day or for an hour, and when that goes away for whatever reason, the timing is such where you're not going to have a chance to go around and replace that. So, it's unfortunate on a number of levels. And, there's some real, at least short-term economic impact for folks. There's no question about that.
And one thing, Todd and Shon, that's been lost to this, there was a pretty good game played by Indiana last night. They really did what they needed to do in a way that they needed to do it. A resounding win by the Hoosiers.
Yeah, they could not afford to lose to Nebraska came in there. I think they'd lost 16 in a row, and they were down 2 players, and there was nothing good that was going to come out of nothing really good that was going to come out of Indiana playing that game. The only thing that would have been really big would have been bad if they would have lost. So for them to go in and to end that half on a 16-1 run and then put them away, I think they have to feel very good about where they are now. They have a chance to play a pretty good Penn State team that is, I think, is going to come in with a little bit of an edge to them because of how they ended their season. They let a big lead against Michigan State slip away at home. And then, they lost pretty decisively, to Northwestern in the season finale. So they have to feel like, we're in the tournament as well, but we want to go in with a little bit of momentum. We don't want to go staggering in, dropping our last 3 games, 2 in the regular season and 1 at the conference tournament. So I think that's going to be a really, really good game. I think all the games today, that's a pretty good slate of games, starting with, Rutgers and Michigan here in a couple hours.
Hey, Shon, this is Todd. If you take away Maryland and Michigan State, because I think everyone would probably pick them as the favorites for the Big Ten tournament title. But if you just eliminated those 2 teams, what next tier team would you pick? I mean, you've seen them as close as anybody with the Big Ten network. What next tier team would you say this time of year right now is playing the best and has a chance to win this tournament?
Yeah, Todd, that's a good question. I'll give you 2 teams. I'll give you one team that's playing today. I'll give you one team that I really like how they're playing. That didn't get the double bye. I keep your eye on Ohio State. They've weathered. They've had to kind of move guys in and out of the lineup. They shoot the 3 really well. That guy Chris Holtman is a heck of a coach. They've been able to cobble together a pretty good year. People forget they got off to a tremendous start. Then they hit a little bit of a rough patch. I like how they're playing. And then the other team that I really like, haven't seen them up close and personal the last couple of weekends of the regular season. I mean, Illinois is as tough as they come. They defend, they rebound. They have a guy that is not afraid to make, and if sometimes miss big shots. And DeSumo, Andres Feliz, I think, is just one of the most undervalued guys with what he brings from a toughness and rebounding standpoint. That's a team in Illinois, especially in a neutral site environment where sometimes teams struggle to shoot the ball. What they do best doesn't really matter about the offensive part of the game. They will get after you and defend and get on the floor after loose balls. That's another team that I would keep an eye on. I still think Michigan State's probably the favorite, but man, the only question about Illinois is that if Iowa beats Minnesota today and Iowa and Illinois play on Friday, that game will be, make sure you're watching that one because they split, sure. They don't like one another. And the only question coming out of that game is how much the winner of that game would have going into the semifinals, because they are going to get after each other big time if that game takes place.
Yeah, you're right about it. They've had just 2 battles going back and forth, and I think there's been 6 technicals so far in their 2 games in the season. So, yeah, that one would be a blast. But, this is why I wanted to ask a basketball genius in yourself who to pick, because I've been singing Illinois' praises all year long and saying when it got to tournament time, their brand of basketball is going to translate to the NCAA tournament, I think, as well as anybody else in the Big Ten. And I just wanted to hear it. I just wanted to reassure myself and make sure I was still.
Don't put the mortgage on it or anything like that. But I like how they play.
Yeah.
The Coburn kid just continues to get better. And I think the other thing I really like about his future is, he's extremely coachable, and you could see that throughout the course of this year. And everyone talks about, and it is a valid point. He's only played basketball about 3 or 4 years, so he's got a lot of learning to do. I think the most important thing that comes out of the fact he's only played 3 or 4 years, especially, with the way the game's kind of developed over the last number of years with AAU, he doesn't have a whole lot to unlearn. And I think there's a lot to be said about that, is that, he doesn't have a whole lot of bad habits that they have to break before they can, put in, the really quality things that they want to do with that guy. And he's really impressed me, not just with his physical skill, but the fact that he's willing to work and become a little bit more technically savvy. He's going to be a really good player.
One of the things I was following Indiana, Shon, is I think they got a really good draw, and I like their draw with Penn State. I think they're catching them at the right time, and after watching Indiana last night, they played pretty well. Of course, that was against Nebraska, but they did some things they hadn't done very frequently last night. They hit the three ball at a much higher frequency, and so I'm feeling good about the Hoosiers as they take on Penn State tonight. Of course, that game could go either way, but I think that if they have a chance to raise their seed line a little bit, and you mentioned they can help themselves with a win here, if nothing else. But I think they're catching Penn State possibly at the right time. But is there an advantage to Indiana was it Minnesota that actually played yesterday and to play again today that's going to have nobody there when you're going to come in cold? I wonder if that's going to affect the teams either way in that regard.
Well, there's I think there may be just a slight advantage that they've gotten used to the shooting background. Minnesota shot the ball probably better than they have in a month in that opening game. You always if you were to advance all the way, Minnesota, quite frankly, probably has to win the whole thing to get in at the very, very bare minimum, which I think would still be a long shot to get to the final. I mean, with the level of intensity of this league this year, and you play 20 games, you'd like to have that first day off, if for no other reason, just that's one less opportunity for you to stub your toe. I think both of those teams shot the ball well yesterday. To me, with Indiana, if they can get a good form of Devontae Green, he's a really good barometer for them. When he's good and he's not, trying to make impossible plays or take crazy shots, that they're a whole different team. And I think the other guys on that squad kind of feed off that. And if they can get a good dose of him, but most importantly, get the ball inside to Jackson Davis, who, they can't go with games where he's getting 7 shots. That's when they struggle, and because he's a very good player. But if Devontae Green can play under control, take the shots that are there. Most importantly, when he's got the ball in his hand, make the solid play, and don't try to hit a home run on every possession, because especially against a team like Penn State that likes to take their defense and push the pace, you can't have a whole bunch of live ball turnovers and layups, because that team will jump on you.
Agree with you, Todd. Any final words?
No, I mean, just it's going to be an interesting day. I mean, I don't think any of us know really what to expect in having an arena, without fans in it. But, like everyone's kind of experiencing the same thing across the country. And we'll just see which team mentally can focus on what they have in front of them and the game plans. And if you can block out all the other stuff, I think the team that's able to just focus on their stuff and what they have to do is probably going to end up coming out of this thing, and without, there being much of a factor not being fans involved.
Shon, what games do you have today?
Go ahead.
No, I was just say, what games do you have today?
I've got the 2 early games. So I've got Rutgers, Michigan at noon Eastern, and then the second game is going to be a pretty interesting game with Minnesota and Iowa. Oturu and Garza going at each other. So, and then tomorrow I've got the 2 early games on Friday, and so Wisconsin gets the winner of Rutgers, Michigan, and Illinois gets the winner of Iowa, Minnesota. So, there's a whole bunch of really interesting games, just kind of like the whole year. The last weekend of the season was just a ton of fun, with Rutgers and Purdue, and then that Iowa-Illinois game on Sunday to wrap up the regular season. I mean, that game was as intense as anything I've seen in person in the last 5, 6, 7 years. I mean, they were getting after one another. It was just a lot of fun to be around. It was a tremendous atmosphere, and it just an outstanding game to watch. And it really kind of pushed Illinois even a little bit further toward the front of my thinking, just with how they play. And they're not the greatest shooting team. They're not necessarily the most offensively explosive team, but they've got a guy that they can make plays for them. They've got enough guys that can knock down shots, and they will guard you. And if you beat them, you will have earned it.
Shon, I cannot thank you enough for joining us, man. We really, really appreciate you. We enjoy your work. Todd's a big fan. I'm a big fan as well. We love your and our intern Jimmy Sutton, big fan of yours as well.
Well, hey, don't hold the fact that he knows me. Don't hold that against him. All right? He's a young guy with a bright future, and when you say enjoy the work, I'm really fortunate to have a chance to go. And what I'm going to do today is quote unquote my job is go and watch 2 really good basketball games, and then ultimately someone will send you a check. I've done real work, and this ain't it.
I hear you, man. Shon Morris, the great Shon Morris from the Big Ten Network. Thank you, sir, and have a great broadcast today and the rest of the weekend. We look forward to seeing you.
Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
You betcha. Thank you. Shon Morris joining us from the Big Ten Network as he has got the early call on the games today here in Indianapolis at Bankers Life Fieldhouse as the Big Ten tournament continues to roll on. Fanless. We'll be there for complete coverage for you. But that was Shon Morris who was on the call, and a unique perspective. He played at Northwestern. I meant to look him. Your all's time didn't cross over any, did it, Todd? He was like before you, I believe.
Yeah, he was before me. I've only known him from a standpoint of what he's done in the broadcast and that stuff. So I didn't cross his path, but boy, is he a fun guy to talk to. He is knowledgeable about so many different things.
He is. And the way he talks and explains things, he keeps it easily.
He's an attorney from Northwestern. What do you expect?
He's a smart dude, man. He's a smart dude. Hey, we got lots more coming up to you. We're coming from Indianapolis, live from the Big Ten tournament here in Indianapolis. We've moved the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios east a little bit, but we got lots more coming up. Coy O'Leary back right after this. Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
I'm Ryan Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lewis, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville.
Some of the best sounds you'll ever hear are generic. Safe. Effective. Even money-saving, just like FDA-approved generic drugs. Even if they don't come in the exact same color or shape as their brand name equivalents, they have the same key ingredients and go through a rigorous review process. Talk to your doctor or pharmacist today and visit fda.gov/generic drugs. Generics are safe, effective, and can save you money. You'll like the sound of that.
Hey, this is Jordan Halls, former Indiana Hoosier. Keep up with Indiana sports on Indiana Sports Beat.
Indiana Sports Beat coming to you from the Golf Club League Point Studios East as we are live in Indianapolis at the Big Ten tournament that is going underway, I guess you'd say, but in a very, very different way because we'll be heading out there as soon as we're done with the show here as the games kick off at noon. You heard Shon Morris with us there. He's on the call of Rutgers and Michigan as they get turn today, but they're did I say Michigan? What did I say?
You did. You did. You did. You just paused a little bit.
Oh yeah, I had to make sure I was right. I was looking forward to the paper.
We're all
too much stuff in my head right now, but yeah, it's not going to be terribly weird because there's going to be some people there, and I think it's quickly going to be not weird. Because if you've spent time in gyms like you have and most people have in the summer, AAU, it quickly turns into just basketball. And these guys start getting after it, and the games are on the line. So once that starts happening, forget about the fans not being there. It's not going to affect them. It is good. I think the weirdest thing would be watching a game with no fans and the sounds, because it is going to sound markedly different.
Yeah, and it is. And you know what? Like, here's the thing from a player perspective, and this is what I was not articulating very well to Shon, but I mean, the players have such a, the game plans are pretty extensive. And I mean, there's a lot of things you've got to remember. I mean, you've got to switch off of one guy and not off of another. And we double team this guy only on the second dribble, and, all the different offensive sets they've got going and everything that's going on. The players will be hyper focused. Like, it won't, once the first couple of baskets are scored and they get used to there not really being a roar one way or the other, they won't even really notice it that much, I don't think. And there's still going to be, I know it's going to seem insanely empty because in a 20+ thousand seat arena, there's still going to be probably close to 1,000 people there. But, each player gets 4 tickets and their family members are allowed to come. So, you're going to be dealing with a couple hundred people probably from every team. So, it's still going to be, there's still going to be some fans there. There'll be some cheering. It'll be more like an AAU game. And I've seen thousands of those, and, once the play starts, what happens on the court is just as intense.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm looking forward to that. And maybe I'm interested to see, does this help some players? I don't know. I mean, it's a weird, some players thrive, but Shon talked about, the team shooting better than the shooting backgrounds. Indiana clearly enjoys playing in this gym, and Armand Franklin has shot well here. It'll be interesting to see if that continues today. If it does, these teams better watch out for an Indiana team. Indiana, if they can shoot the ball, if they get to play all these games in a building they shoot well, hey, man, they could end up being here on Saturday or Sunday.
And like the strangest part of all of that is this is an arena that's known for being a tough environment to shoot in. And, I think from an NBA perspective, this arena is talked about as being a tough shooting environment. And, Indiana has come in there this Indiana team, I'll say, because, we've watched them in this building in the past, and it's not been what it's been for this Indiana team this season so far, and having a couple of good shooting performances. But, you take Armand Franklin out of that Notre Dame game back in December, and Indiana did not shoot the ball very well. It was really him kind of going crazy and making 4 or 5 threes in a pretty short period of time that got Indiana back in it and was ultimately the reason why they won. But, Indiana didn't shoot the ball great back in that Notre Dame game. Yesterday, they shot it above average for them, for sure. But, there's still it'll be, I don't think there'll be any players that do better. I don't think players get nervous because of the crowds anymore. It's really something to feed off of. And this would have been an Indiana-heavy environment. So I think Indiana is probably one of the teams that, that benefits the least from having no fans involved. I mean, a team like Minnesota and, Rutgers and those, they probably, not being a jerk, but they probably weren't bringing a ton of fans anyway.
Yeah, I hear you. I think something that might be unique for fans possibly is they may, because of how quiet it's going to be without the crowds, you may be able to hear the constant communication of the players on the floor, which you are not able to hear during a regular broadcast. You may be able to hear every single thing. Every coach
which may not be good.
With every coach yelling across the floor, they're going to have to. Archie's going to watch his tongue today, I'd say.
Yeah, that's where like truly I think you'll be able to hear maybe a little bit more of that, but I don't know. I said it last night on our After the Game show. I think somebody ought to figure out a way to pipe some noise into that thing and have a little button that you hit every time somebody scores a basket that just pipes in some cheering noise or something, because it's going to seem weird in an event center the size of Bankers Live.
I guarantee it. I agree with you 1,000%. One of the things that I was looking at also or we got some of these texts in, Ryan said, good morning. He was glad that he was wrong on his score last night. He says, IU by 9 tonight over Penn State. I can see that happening.
Yeah, anything can happen now at this point. That first day, I think Shon hit on it, and we talked about it last night. Like, there wasn't anything positive that can really come out of last night's game for Indiana, other than something really bad that could have been a negative loss. And that would have, been something today we would have really been talking poorly about. But none of that happened. They played well. They won fairly easily. And so now you just look at it from the standpoint of today, really. If you look at every game today, this is why the Big Ten is what it is this year. If you look at every single game today, I don't think it would surprise you. I think you could make an argument for why each team is going to win. And I don't think it would surprise you if either team comes out victorious, where that's not usually the case. Usually there's a couple of big-time favorites that – and, I feel like it's going to be the same way tomorrow. Look, every team – we talked about it. The 3 teams that tied for the lead of the Big Ten all had 6 losses. These teams have all beat each other. It's not like one team did like Dayton or Gonzaga and went through their season and swept everybody. It's not going to be a surprise from today on. It's not going to be a surprise of who wins any of these games.
Yeah, there's no favorite, and that may be a first. There is absolutely no clear favorite in this conference, and not only that,
isn't it funny?
Yeah.
Hey, isn't it funny how asking Shon what team he would pick outside of Michigan State and Maryland, he didn't even mention Wisconsin, who tied for the Big Ten lead?
Yeah, they're going to be fine. I just don't see them making that final run. But it's
the same thing we talked about all year. Like, they're just on paper, they're terrible. Like they just play.
All
well
they do is win.
All they do is win. Yeah, they do. It is. I'm with you completely. Like they don't impress me in any category. They don't have one player on their team
except for the win
that
loss.
I think it. What's that?
Except for the win loss category.
Yeah, no, it's incredible. It's nuts.
It is, and there's so much other. So we haven't touched on, and we will later on. But the IHSA, I don't know. I hope, but they're not going to cancel that. I wouldn't imagine. But fans,
you want to talk about something? You want to talk about
going
something,
to be empty?
Yeah, you want to talk about something that the players I think would would definitely notice a difference and play different would be if the high school games don't have fans involved. I mean, it's just different. I mean, when you're younger, I'm telling you, when I was in high school, like I couldn't play a game until I located my mom and dad and grandparents in the stands and all that. Like it was just a comfort level thing. And it was an immaturity, I'm sure, but it's just different at that point. And I think the high school kids, it would be weirder from their perspective than it will in today's arena.
Well, we certainly may get a chance to find out.
I saw a thing where they were talking about moving the Final Four, assuming this thing sticks and they continue on throughout the whole NCAA tournament without fans, that they were talking about moving it to a much smaller venue.
Really? Oh, well, yeah. They're not going to have fans.
Right. It would make sense.
And how would that change things? Because you're talking about shooting backgrounds and it's just going to be wild. So, but we'll find out because we've got to see more regionals or all the regionals.
Yeah, imagine Lucas Oil Stadium without fans in it. I mean, we think Bankers Life seems weird. You're talking about doubling the size at least. 40,000 empty seats would be insane.
And it's not just this Big Ten tournament that we're talking about. We all sports in the Big Ten and probably and many others, but are shuttered right now. No fans. Some conferences have just shut it down, which I think is maybe a little bit of overreaction completely. If you don't let fans in there, you've pretty much eliminated the biggest risk for coronavirus. And one of the doctors I was watching said the biggest they don't know everything about it yet, but how it is transmitted, they believe, is when the people are at their sickest, when they're really not, the fever's raging and all that stuff. And I'm like, okay, people would just be smart, but that's why people get upset with Fred. And I know that he was cleared, but most people don't know that. And even some that do still think it was not, smart of him to do that. But he's getting paid $3 million to do this. And if a doctor said it's okay, they probably took the precautions.
Yeah, that's the key to it that will probably not come out. And I feel like the people from Nebraska should have been the ones to probably put this on the forefront. But Fred met with doctors before the game last night, and they cleared him to play, cleared him to coach and be around everybody, and said he wasn't contagious and he was fine. So
I guess the biggest thing is that's what they should have done. They should have told people.
They should have. I agree. I mean, because you had people nationally, saying, why in the heck? And, if he had come out today with the coronavirus, I mean, I'm sure people would be feeling even more, angry about it. But this is what's going on right now is a lot of people jumping to the conclusion and rushing to judgment about situations that they don't know the facts about. And that's what I caution people not to do right now, because, we've never been in this situation before. We don't know really how to handle it, but don't just assume the worst and find out the facts before you start running your mouth. Because there's a lot of people on social media that were running their mouth last night, just guaranteeing Fred had the coronavirus and he just spread it to, 10,000 people. I'm like, you people look like idiots today.
Alan in Birdseye said, good morning, boys. Now that we're in, I hope there's a dance to go to. No sarcasm intended, just hoping there is one. Yeah, that's wouldn't that be kind of ironic for Archie to finally get over the hump that he's been carrying that monkey on his back and then not to get to play the tournament? That would be –
well, if they cancel the tournament, we'll say we were a 1 seed.
There you go. The Joker hits text line. The IU media in attendance must be our cheering crowd. No cheering from the media. I expect Jim Coyle and Todd Leary to be hoarse from after the game show tonight. No, won't be cheering. No cheering, man. No cheering in the media. There will be no cheering today. Now, that will be weird. There will be family members. That's what's going to be weird, is to hear 4 people go, yay, when somebody does something. That's going to be weird.
It won't be for the Indiana games perspective. I mean, there'll be 200 people there.
Yeah, with all personnel and everything.
Yeah, I mean, there'll be
family members.
Each player gets 4. Each coach gets 4. Those will all be used up. I mean, Indiana, Purdue, Ohio State, all of those teams will have a couple of hundred people there. They won't be empty. That's where you got to look at. That's where you look at the ripple effect we were talking about earlier. And okay, so there are going to be some fans there. So how many workers does the facility still end up having there? They still got to have some concessions open. I mean, it's just it's a different, unique situation we've never dealt with.
Jake, I'm assuming we need to hit a break because we're kind of off here a little bit today. Okay, I guess that's a yes. So we're going to go ahead and take a break. We've got lots more coming up here on Indiana Sports Beat. We're live from Indianapolis as the Big Ten tournament is it's underway in a weird way, but we've got lots more to talk about when we come back here right after this.
Unto myself, don't push me.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the golf club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lewis, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville.
Some of the best sounds you'll ever hear are generic, safe, effective, even money-saving, just like FDA-approved generic drugs. Even if they don't come in the exact same color or shape as their brand name equivalents, they have the same key ingredients and go through a rigorous review process. Talk to your doctor or pharmacist today and visit fda.gov/generic drugs. Generics are safe, effective, and can save you money. You'll like the sound of that.
Hey, it's Michael Lewis, former Indiana University player and current UCLA assistant basketball coach, and you're listening to Indiana Sports Beat.
Nebraska started off loose, and they were playing fast, and we weren't ready for that early. But I thought our guys did a good job of kind of hanging in there, and then right when we were able to get a few stops finally, we capitalized. Devontae was a big part of the end of the first half. To start the second half, Rob was a big part of the second half. He got going and made some really good plays. But to be able to extend the lead at the end and then the beginning, I think showed that we were able to kind of put our foot down defensively and get some stops. They're a hard guard for us. And then we were able to play through a run in the second half, which was good. They made it a little tighter with about 8 to go. And then we were able to make a couple plays. I think that's the big thing this time of year for our team, who can step up and make free throws, who can step up and make a couple plays when you need a play, offensively or defensively. And tonight, what I was proud of was we have a lot of guys in the game doing good things, not just one.
There's Archie Miller, Indiana's head coach, talking about his team's win last night over Nebraska that will push them into tonight's game against Penn State. A game that we're looking forward to seeing, and hopefully that they continue. As I continue to read this stuff, Todd, I'll be honest with you, I'm going to be utterly shocked if the NCAA tournament continues, with only because there are just so many people, Jay Billis and those types, just pounding that it's irresponsible for these games to go forward and blah blah blah. Which I'm not sure that I agree with, because you've eliminated a big part of what the problem would be with the mass of people. Now, I mean, they're going to be in those situations. If they're not in a game, I promise you, they're not going to be on lockdown somewhere. Once you turn them loose, they're going to be out running around. They're going to be hanging out at bars. I mean, if school's canceled, half the students are in Kilroy's probably this morning.
I agree with you. I'm surprised at some of the stances people are taking. And, it's what I said a minute ago. I mean, I don't want to offer too much of an opinion about what people should or shouldn't do, because, I mean, we don't know all the facts. There's a reason why the NBA, quote, suspended their season instead of canceled their season. So they just want to evaluate it.
That's probably going to last about 2 weeks, I think.
Yeah, I mean, you never know. That's what we don't know. We don't know. What you're saying seems like it's probably a likelihood,
and the difference is they actually have a player that tested positive. That's a big difference to me too. So, but yeah, I mean, I'm going to be there.
You're also looking at a player that tested positive for it. That's roughly 30 years old and is in prime health, and probably, he'll be quarantined, and 2 weeks from now he'll be fine.
Yeah, I'll be playing ball again in 2 weeks from now.
That's my understanding of it. I mean, it's like having the flu really bad. Now, the people who don't have a great immune system, which would be the elderly folks and young kids, I mean, those people are at higher risk. And so I get that. I mean, if you want to put an age restriction on who's allowed to go to games, so be it. But I mean, like Gobert, the Gobert guy from Utah that tested positive for it, I mean, so they're going to make him eat chicken noodle soup for a couple weeks and sit in a hotel room. I mean, I'm not trying to be a jerk about it. I'm just saying, like, we don't know a whole lot more about it right now. And so, why is everybody, I don't understand why Jay Billis and anyone would be saying that anyone's being irresponsible. I think they're taking measures that are costing millions and probably billions of dollars. And that's about as far from irresponsible as I can think.
I agree, man. I'm with you. I mean, I think that.
Yeah, I mean, okay. So getting off that topic, back to what you were saying a second ago, and Archie Miller talking about the game last night and that stuff. Like, did you notice who was the very first sub that came out of the game last night?
I did not.
It was a first all year long, I do believe. Justin Smith.
I'm going to guess that it would have been Trace Jackson Davis.
It was Justin Smith.
That was the obvious
he was
pick.
Not
but I
happy
went away
with
from the
Justin
obvious
Smith.
pick.
Yeah, he was
Defensive
not happy
lapse.
with Justin Smith last night. And yep. And when he came back in, I thought he responded well to it.
Yeah, well, they got a response from everybody that they needed, and it was like I talked about last night. And again, I hate to. Well, that's a good comparison. The Indiana women's team, they've made a living this season off of being a team that has played a very, very, very balanced attack with any of those players that could rise up on an occasion. But then especially you had a leader in Allie Patberg. That's the one thing that the Indiana women's team has that the men's team does not have. Of that group of guys that can't stand up, none of them are really stepping up and being a leader per se. But they got an excellent balanced attack last night from all the guys, with everyone scoring within a point of each other. And you talk about Armand Franklin, who comes off the bench to do what he did. Again, 2 big games when he has rose up, it has been of vital importance to the win.
Well, yeah, and when Indiana has struggled the most throughout this year, it's been when the guard play has been, either non-existent or extremely bad. And, Armand coming off the bench gives them, if you get Devontae coming off the bench scoring the ball and Armand coming off playing good defense and driving the ball to the basket. Last night he got fouled several times. if you can get those two things from the guard position, you're a much better team. Like I know you'll hear a lot of people say, most of the time they're big guys that are saying this, but you'll hear people say that the guards are, not as important to a team as the big guys and rebounding and all that. But I'm telling you, this time of year, good guard play can carry a team, much farther into these tournaments than what I think people expect or think about a lot of times. And Indiana's guard play, when they've not been good, a lot of times it's been the guard play. I mean, it's been lack of production from those 2 and 3 positions. And so, last night they got it. And that's quite frankly why, Trace Jackson Davis had a decent game last night. He played okay. Joey Brunk played okay. Deron Davis played okay. Justin Smith played okay. The guards played good last night. That was really the difference.
Absolutely. Let's see, what was I going to talk about? Oh, I just had a text in. Oh, yeah, from Tim. Great text. Probably won't have concession workers tonight, so it's maybe a BYOB situation.
I think they will have. That's what I was saying earlier. I think they will have concessions. Can you see people
pulling coolers in and all this? Come on in. You got the ones on the wheels. Bring it in. Put up the Bud Light 10 or something.
Now, of all the unsanitary things that could happen, that's the worst thing I can think of happening. I think they will have concessions. I mean, they'll have to have something. They're allowing limited fans. So, I think they will have. Here's the question. So you saw the list of who's allowed to come. So when they say essential personnel, does that include like the administration? I mean, does that include like the presidents and ADs?
Well, of course. I mean, they're always included in anything. They would be essential. Yeah, there's no doubt about that.
So just knowing that as a fact, I mean, that's going to make me assume there's going to be – I'm going to assume there's going to be concessions. I don't know that. I mean, it's hard to tell. The amount of money they're already losing in refunding the ticket prices, I mean, I was trying to think of that this morning. So think about people that bought their tickets through a scalper. I mean, they are hosed.
But really,
you're never getting that money back.
Forget about them because they're going to be making money off of TV money. But who's not going to be making money off TV money are hotels and airlines. Now, the bars, they may actually benefit from this because you're going to push the people out of the stands into the bars.
But
is that helping the coronavirus situation? You're pushing more people into a massive situation, a tighter situation. To where you're drinking alcohol, so you're probably paying less attention to your hygiene. You're coughing all over everybody.
Your immune system and your good decision system both
at the end of the day, how much does it really help? I mean, if people are going to be hanging out in bars, so not everybody, of course, that's not going to go to the game will go watch it somewhere, but because a lot of people that follow, like the NCAA tournament, people that follow their team, a lot of people that have means, so they're probably not going to be hanging out in the bars, whatnot.
Well, but I mean, okay, so take it for example, like the people who were planning on being here today. I mean, they were probably already here. They didn't make this decision until
I talked to some people in the hotel this morning from Wisconsin that are leaving. They haven't even played a game yet, and they're leaving.
Yeah, well, okay, but here's the thing. They weren't expected to play until Friday, and those people were already here on Wednesday.
Yes.
So that's why I'm saying, so the teams who are here today, the fan base that is here today, they're not going to travel and go back home today because they'll miss their game. I mean, they probably will watch it downtown at a bar somewhere or a hotel or wherever.
Like the Tap on Mass Ave?
Who knows? Yeah, they can do that. They can do that late tonight.
As a matter of fact, if you're looking for a place in Indy, of course, if you're in Bloomington, you're going to be at Yogi's. But if you're in Indy, you'll be at the Tap on Mass Ave because that's where we're going to be after the Indiana game tonight because that's where live after the game with Todd Leary takes place. We will be there again. We were there last night. We'll be back. Had a quiet room. It was so weird. That is the first time. That was more quiet than the Daily Show for some reason.
The NCAA made us do. The NCAA made us do it without fans.
Yeah, they insulated us. They put us in a box room. It was weird. But no, don't forget after the game with Todd Leary live tonight. That should be coming to you approximately 10:30, about the same time again as it was last night. A lot more games to cover today. Of course, we're covering IU's game against Penn State mainly, but you've got Michigan and Rutgers kicking off here at noon today, which I'm looking forward to going over and seeing that. But then after that, the Purdue game, that could be a great game to watch. I mean, because Purdue is, hey, you've seen what Nebraska did yesterday for a while. They're a team that they have nothing to lose, and they're playing for their lives. Purdue is playing for their life, and you know that they can play, so that should be a really entertaining game.
Yeah, I mean, all of the games starting today, I mean, they all get good. It's it's an interesting scenario, and that's like I said earlier, and I'm not saying very easily right now. They're not going to be surprised that anyone wins in any of these Big Ten games today. Like, it would not shock anybody if Rutgers beat Michigan. I don't think it would shock too many people if Purdue beat Ohio State. The Indiana and Penn State game is a picket today. I mean, it's not. There's not a true favorite in any of these games, I don't think.
And I'm thinking about all the people. We talked about the IHSA tournament that's its full swing. This is regional weekend, which means there's going to be 4 locations, usually around 8,000 people, gyms. I know Seymour holds 8, so no announcement. I've heard no change as of yet in regards to the IHSAA. Again, just going to be shocked. I'm going to be shocked because everyone else has. So I don't see how they cannot. I think they're trying to figure out how to undo it before they announce it. But this is strictly a guess. I've heard nothing, 0. So don't. Yeah. I'm not saying anything.
Well,
this is strictly a guess.
If you just use common sense, you can look at it and say, if the people that are affected the most are the elderly and younger people, when you're dealing with high school, you're dealing with a lot more younger people than on even in Big Ten or an NCAA game. So for that matter. So, I would say if anyone was going to play without fans, it would be the high schools, but who knows? I mean, I don't, you're also talking about,
and they're also the worst about hygiene. I mean, younger kids are not just because we're not smart. We're especially young boys. We're just dumb. We stick our hands in the dirt and
kids. I got 3 of them. Kids are gross.
We eat dirt. We're just dumb. We just do dumb things. But those dumb kids spread that stuff to the dumb parents. And so, there's been no word whatsoever. There's not even been a crack, nothing, no peep. So, but that's something that's going to be coming today. I would think that with all that's happening, that we're going to at least hear something today.
You would think so. But I mean, yesterday at this time, if you would have told me that there's a chance they were going to play the Big Ten tournament without fans, I would have probably told you were wrong because they would have made that announcement already. But literally, it came across the wire as people were walking in the door at the Big Ten tournament last night. So there wasn't a whole lot they could do about last night because people were already there. But they didn't wait very long. I mean, it wasn't 5 minutes into the game before they made the announcement that that was going to be the last night for fans.
Yep, it sure was. Well, it's not the last night for us because we're going to be there bringing you complete coverage today and every day that they're playing, wherever it is. Also, we're planning on being at the regional. I'm planning on going to Seymour for Floyd Central, Bedford, or Bloomington South. You got Anthony Leal in that game at IU Recruit. You've also Christian Lander and Evansville Wrights playing in Seymour to see who can make it to the championship. Floyd Central, Evansville Wrights, Bloomington South. All 3 of those teams have played, ironically. And so those are 3 of the best teams in Southern Indiana. And so it worked out the way it's supposed to be. Looking forward to that. You've got games to go to up further north with Will and Carmel as they head to Logansport and playing. Who they play this time? Oh, that's right. New Haven, the team that you've never heard of.
Yeah.
that's all I got to think of. Oh, yeah, it's a team you've never heard of. So looking forward to that. Any scouting report on those guys?
Nope, none. Don't know anything
about it. Going in blind.
We do us.
Tomorrow, I'll have Nick Baumgart on tomorrow. We'll talk some high school stuff. But also tomorrow, while we're talking about that, plan on having Todd Sturgeon, Floyd Central's coach, on. I'm going to try to get set up for Anthony Leal to come on with us, just from a time-wise, if we can make that happen with all that's going on here. We hopefully want to make that happen as well. So hopefully some great interviews tomorrow in regards to the IHSA tournament that's going on. We'll talk about that. But, man, it's going to be a crazy, crazy next – if you thought yesterday was crazy – I don't know if today's going to be as crazy. Maybe the crazy broke yesterday, and now today will be a little more manageable. I don't know, but there was a lot of crazy breaking yesterday, man. When you got an NBA game getting shut down in the middle of it, and a coach, Fred Hoiberg, and that stuff happened. I mean, It was just nuts, man. And it all just seemed to explode at one time.
Yeah, it did. And it was just, the timing of everything just seemed weird. And, we just don't know what to expect today. It's a situation we've never come across before, thank goodness. And hopefully we can get this thing figured out and get it behind us and get back to some normalcy. Cause it's anxiety levels are never good for some of us when things get out of the norm.
Sally in Evansville says, is this insane or overreaction? Good question. We don't know. Tim says last night's NBA games were suspended. Well, yes. Yeah,
I know the answer to Sally's issue. The overreaction is insane. Yes. I agree with her completely.
We got lots more coming up here on Indiana Sports Beat with Coy O'Leary as we're coming to you live from Indianapolis side of the Big Ten tournament here on this Thursday. We've got lots more coming up. Stay tuned. We're back with it right after this.
You know I treat you kind. Oh, yeah.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lewis, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville.
Some of the best sounds you'll ever hear are generic, safe, effective, even money-saving, just like FDA-approved generic drugs. Even if they don't come in the exact same color or shape as their brand name equivalents, they have the same key ingredients and go through a rigorous review process. Talk to your doctor or pharmacist today and visit fda.gov/generic drugs. Generics are safe, effective, and can save you money. You'll like the sound of that.
This is former Indiana basketball player Brian Evans, and you're listening to Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle.
Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat. We're coming to you from Indianapolis, site of the Big Ten tournament this season that is being played without fans now. So, looking forward to going to our first fanless game here in a couple of hours as Michigan opens up against Rutgers on their slate. Lots of talk, people about last night, of course, Fred Hoiberg and Nebraska lose to Indiana, but the bigger story was Fred got sick right toward the end of the game. He tried to make it through but couldn't. But he had met with doctors before the game, and he was cleared. And a lot of people, they don't care. And I agree with the standpoint only that the Nebraska people should have told the Big Ten Network. We've already said this, but why they didn't is beyond me, because how are you not expecting to cause a panic in a situation like that? So
especially considering they had every opportunity after the game was over, because obviously Fred didn't go to the press conference, and they didn't let the players go to the press conference. So all it would have taken was a sports information director to stand up there and say, here's the situation. Fred was cleared by 2 doctors prior to the game starting to coach the game. During the game, he felt more ill and didn't feel good, so we've taken precautionary measures and taken him to the hospital. The players are not going to be coming to the press conference. All of this is precautionary. End of story. And then everybody would have at least not jumped to a conclusion of, oh my gosh, Fred has the coronavirus.
Yeah, I think that the Nebraska SID needs to come.
Should have taken the bull by the horns.
Do this?
They should have stepped forward.
But he needs to now come out and say, hey, man, I screwed up. I'm not looking for him to say he screwed up. I'm not trying to do that to him. But why? Was there a reason?
Dude,
why would you not in this climate?
They're back in Lincoln, Nebraska, and which we all know doesn't get the news for like 3 days after the rest of the world. So there's
no coronavirus in Nebraska, probably.
They are not worried about this. Not unless the cows have it.
Yeah. Oh, man. Wow. A big day in the tournament coming up today without fans, of course, but the games are on. And this is not the only place. You know, we're not talking like the Big Ten is the only – there are places that have canceled. The Ivy League canceled their entire tournament. I think that is absolutely – I think it's asinine. I think you can play the stupid games, man. Play the games. You can't shut down life, because you're not going to shut down life by doing this. All you're doing is moving it to someplace else.
Yeah. Those people are not – look, if they close down all the malls and all the airports and everything across the country and everybody just had to stay home and restaurants were closed, that would be a different scenario. But so not having fans at the game, all that's going to do is make fans go be around each other somewhere else. It just – I don't – whatever. I don't want to form too big of an opinion, because we don't know how serious. We may look at those statements and think how dumb those were, 2 months from now, or we may look at it and think about how dumb we were for canceling all this stuff 2 months from now. We really don't have any idea.
I agree. And then, like I said, we've talked about the high schools, man. The high school tournament's going on, and there is no bigger high school tournament in the world than Indiana's boys high school tournament, which is in full swing right now. As a matter of fact, this particular weekend, it's not the biggest generator of fans, but as far as per spot, there's only going to be 4 spots, and they're going to be packed. You're looking at probably 32,000 people total between those 4 twice getting together because of the 2 sessions. And I'm going to be hard pressed to imagine that they don't make alternate arrangements here. But we're a couple days away. They've got a little bit of time, and it's not like people are coming from Washington, and they don't. It's not nearly as big a deal as the NCAA, of course, but it's still a lot of there's a lot of navigation going on.
There's still an outside chance that the IHSAA just declares Lawrence North the champion, just based on the fact of they're a blue blood in past history, and there's just a decent chance they just crown Lawrence North the champion.
Yeah.
That's the early word I've heard anyway.
You always just crown them the champion, I think.
Yeah, pretty much.
Who do you? They've got a good shot to win it. I'll be honest with you, though. I mean, they maybe are they the best team left? I know it's hard to say. You got Bloomington South, who's unbeaten, but man, they look pretty good.
Yeah, Lawrence North plays
they beat a good Lawrence Central team.
Aggressive, fast-paced type game. You look at a team like Carmel. When those 2 teams played each other in the season, it was just one of the weirdest endings to a game that you could ever imagine. I think even Coach Kiefer said he's never seen a game with quite that kind of an ending. And Lawrence North ended up winning, but it was just, Carmel figured out a way to slow Lawrence North down. And if you can do that, you have a chance to beat them. If it's a fast-paced game, I don't think you have a chance to beat them. But obviously, that Bloomington South's going to have something to say about that. I mean, they don't walk it down the floor. I mean, they try to score.
Floyd Thippel's
points.
going to have something to say about that. Come on now. We're going to talk to Coach Sturgeon tomorrow, and hopefully Anthony Leal as well. We'll get a little into.
Are they 3A?
Hopefully.
Are they 2A or 3A?
Come on, man. What you talking about? 3A.
Why am I trying to piss you off? I got to be with you all day today. Why would I be trying to piss you off right now?
Get Pat Graham on here,
What
man.
an
Come
idiot.
on, man.
I didn't think that through.
Get Pat Graham on here. Mark Cuban, man. What an Indiana. He's a Hoosier. Mark Cuban is making sure his people, while the hiatus is going on in the NBA, and it's a hiatus, I bet you it lasts for a couple of weeks and they're back. But we've talked about this with this NCAA tournament, people working. You've got concession workers at these NBA places, security guys, ticket takers, all these hourly workers, hundreds and hundreds of them, that this is their livelihood. And you got a guy in Mark Cuban that's one of the first things he thought of. And he is doing whatever he can to make sure that that's not going to be an issue for his people. And that is great to see. Let's hope that a lot of the people follow suit on that. But there are some situations like this IHSA, like the NCAA, where that's just not a possibility.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, you look at Cuban and the way I describe Cuban is Cuban is the kind of billionaire like we all think we would be if we were all billionaires. To where you think of other people, like I'd be the best billionaire in the world because I'd be so generous it'd be crazy. I mean, there's no way you could spend all that money. But he does this time after time and situation after situation when, he seems to be the first one and he rises to the occasion to think about all the people that help him make gazillions of dollars every year. And he doesn't forget those people. And he's, that's why we all of a sudden or all the time talk about how proud we are. He's a Hoosier because he does stuff like that all the time.
Exactly. Man, I'm excited to go to the games today. I don't know if I'm more excited because the fans aren't there or just because it's the tournament, but I'm not lying. I am looking forward to the unique environment of how it's going to be just because it's going to be a wild experience. I hate that for the fans, though. I really do, because I know what it means to a lot of those people. I mean, but especially the ones, like I said, the people. How many people do you think came down from Michigan that are for this game? Because Michigan's playing today.
Probably
we talk
both
about
of them.
Wisconsin.
Probably both people that came down from Michigan.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah,
I mean, what you're saying though is the fans, the atmosphere is a gigantic part of it. Yes, the basketball is the real show that goes on, and that feeds off of the crowd and the atmosphere. A lot of times, I mean, sometimes a lot of times it's just good play and shot making and that stuff. But I make fun of Ohio State fans and Purdue fans and Kentucky fans and stuff all the time, but it's more of a tongue in cheek, and I enjoy it. Like I enjoy debating why my team's better. I enjoy the back and forth side of it. I enjoy when we beat another team. I want to be able to give them some crap, and I expect to take it when my team gets beat. So that's the part of it that's going to be not there from a standpoint. Now, social media probably loves this situation because everybody's going to be on social media watching and talking about what's going on because they're not going to be able to be there screaming and yelling.
Got a text in the show from Joker, which I have to confirm this, though. He says the latest out of Louisville is that all Derby festivities are going to be canceled, which that's a little – talk about overreaction. Derby's not till freaking May. How about we hold off a little bit?
Isn't it outside? They hold that thing outside, right?
Well, this is the festivities. There's 2 weeks of the stuff that goes along with it. They start off with this gigantic fireworks display, and then it's all this stuff going on. But it's in May. I'm like, man, why don't you wait to decide what's – huh? Yeah, I haven't seen this, and I asked him who's that from, and he said from him. I'm like, well, that's not good enough. Not good enough. I'm writing that right now. Not good enough. But yeah, so don't listen.
You're losing
to that
credibility, Joker.
Yeah. See, Tim also hit the text line. What did he say? Something about you, I think. Did Todd say boat people? What's wrong with boat people? I got a boat. I didn't hear you say anything about a boat.
Boat people?
That's somebody from Wisconsin that says a boat. What about that?
Says, yeah, we're talking a boat.
What about
did
that?
I talk a boat, people?
What about that? Yeah. Hey, I know something to talk about. How about Vegas? We mentioned this earlier and forgot. How is this going to affect the lines on these games? Because there's got to be some effects, I would imagine.
I don't know. I mean, hey, if there's any science in the world that most of the average people don't understand, it's the people that come up with those lines and how they do it and how accurate they are at it. So I mean, what effect would a crowd have on games? I mean, I have no idea. I can't even utter a guess as to what it might be.
The IHSA is scheduled to hold a press conference today at noon to discuss plans for the remaining games of the IHSA boys basketball tournament, as well as Saturday's girls gymnastics state finals in Muncie. They sent a release out earlier, not too long ago, 9:52, so about 20 minutes ago. So you got that. We'll bring you complete coverage of that. That does not come until noon. Commissioner Bobby Cox, your favorite person, will be speaking to make plans for the remaining games.
I thought he quit.
He is quitting. Only credentialed media will be allowed to enter the building. For those unable to attend the press conference, this is for the press conference. Well, I'm in Indianapolis, so I guess I can make it over there in time for that.
I'll be at the Big Ten game.
Yeah, I think I'll be there right beside you. But there you go. So, an announcement coming at noon on the IHSA games. I expect. Well, there's no point in me saying what I expect. Why don't I just wait till it comes out? But I think they're going to not let fans in. I don't see how it's possible. I really don't.
My guess is they cancel it.
Oh, you think?
Yep.
No,
they're young. They're young people. I mean, they're the ones most at risk. They're one of the groups most at risk. I mean, that would be my guess. If the NBA is going to suspend their season, I'm going to say they're going to try to at least hold this out for a couple of weeks, and if nothing else, suspend it for a week until further notice. I'm totally guessing. I have no idea.
Yeah, we'll certainly see. We'll find out. But it's just more bad news. The bad news continues to come. And Kevin Brockway, a good friend from CNHI, texted, said the good thing about not having fans today, homers will be more readily exposed. Just kidding. It's just an inside joke, I guess. Let's see. Derby is not canceled. That's just the festivities, I guess. But still, until I get confirmation of that, I don't have confirmation of that. So just ignore that. But the IHSA coming out with an announcement at noon today as they're holding a press conference to announce what they're going to do. Something's going to be done. I don't think that they cancel it. But at the very least, there's no way they allow fans in. None. There's no way they allow fans because you were right. You hit the nail on the head. That may be the absolute worst group of people that you want to be around in this scenario. So there is – I'm going to be utterly shocked if it's anything other than that. Now, I'm not going to be shocked if they cancel it. I will be devastated will. But how about a high school senior, Todd? How about your son? Yeah. I mean – what are they going to be going through? And I hope that that's not the case. So I don't want to – there's no point in going there until we hear the announcement. But I hope that's not what happens.
You and me both. I mean, I just don't – it's already become so much bigger of an issue than I would have ever dreamed it would. And so, you're right. Nothing's going to shock us, I think, at this point. But it might devastate us from the standpoint of just how sad it would be in certain circumstances. And in the high school basketball, seniors would be one of those.
Yep, it will. Hey, we got a lot more coming up here on Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle Leary. We're coming to you from Indianapolis, site of the Big Ten tournament, as Indiana will be taking on Penn State tonight in the late game, kicking it off at noon today. You've got Michigan and Rutgers going at it. We'll be there to cover all of it, but we're back with more here after this. Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the golf club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lewis, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville.
Some of the best sounds you'll ever hear are generic. Safe. Effective. Even money saving, just like FDA-approved generic drugs. Even if they don't come in the exact same color or shape as their brand name equivalents, they have the same key ingredients and go through a rigorous review process. Talk to your doctor or pharmacist today and visit fda.gov/generic drugs. Generics are safe, effective, and can save you money. You'll like the sound of that.
Hey, this is Jordan Halls, former Indiana Hoosier. Keep up with Indiana sports on Indiana Sports Beat.
All night long. Do it, Robbie, do it.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle Larry coming to you here on this Thursday, live from Indianapolis, side of the Big Ten tournament. Lots going on, man. Joker hit the text line, said, I think the NCAA will play due to TV rights. With no one attending, TV revenues will be outrageous because everyone will be watching. Some truth to that. They can charge more for advertising with a larger audience, but also you talk about dollars lost, Todd. I don't think there's one that can compare to the dollars that would be lost from the TV rights not being met. That is what the NCAA makes. This is where they make their money. For the next 3 weeks of each year is this 3-week period. And boy, you talk about a loss. If they weren't on television, that would be staggering.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with you. I mean, I don't know that I agree with Joker's comment from the standpoint of that advertising for the IHSAA tournament has already been sold. Like he's talking about more the NCAA.
That's
probably already been sold too, I would assume.
It has been, but they just would have to. That's the thing; they'd have to give their money back. That's why it would be beyond devastating. The networks, I mean, the network and the NCAA, it would be crippling.
Yeah,
I mean, because CBS pays like $1 billion for the rights to this.
Is he saying that if it's canceled, that's the reason why he thinks it won't be canceled?
Yes.
Okay, I got you. I mean, I don't. I think that they are making. I think they're proving right now they're not going to make decisions based on money. I mean, it's already costing them billions of dollars. There's no question about it. So, I don't. I think it's a contributing
But the ticket
factor.
sales are a drop in the bucket compared to the TV revenues. They're a drop in the bucket compared to TV. So that's what I'm saying. If they were to lose both, that's I don't. There are people that may not survive that.
Yeah, I mean,
it is unbelievable. It's even affecting NASCAR. Tebow says all NASCAR drivers have to interact with a 6-foot barrier between fans and drivers. Well, and it's all in open areas. So there you go. I don't think that's going to be a problem.
You wouldn't think so. I don't know. Maybe, again, it's what I said earlier. We don't know enough about it.
Developed a new test. They developed a new test that takes 8 hours, which 8 hours is a lot better than it was 2 or 3 days. So maybe they can test the players. If they can test them quick enough, you can let them go. Put a bubble around the court. Who knows?
No idea.
It's crazy. I mean, it's gotten to craziness that this is the kind of craziness that we're thought of. But this is not something that I don't think anyone could ever plan for. You talk about it. You hear about people talk about terrorism and this and that. The terrorists are sitting back going, damn, boy, we didn't think of this.
Somebody
sure does.
One of them will be taking credit for it, I'm sure.
Well, you're certainly going to give them an idea. I mean, look what it has done to the world. How fast. I mean, 3 weeks ago, you and I had never heard the word coronavirus unless somebody was talking about a hangover. And now it has gone from 0 reported cases to, over 100 countries. The United States, I remember within a week ago, it was like maybe 6 states that had cases. Now it is only maybe 6 that do not have. The rapid way that it is spread is just mind-boggling, but it just shows you how, as a human being, we're just, life is a fickle thing, man, and it can teeter on just the slightest edge at any time, and we just don't. I guess we all know that, but man, it is hard to live life like that. Because when this stuff comes to reality, that's an eye opener.
Yep, it is. I mean, we're dealing with it in the basketball world, which, people who are not basketball people are looking at us like, so they're going to cancel your tournament. Who cares? I mean, that's the reality of what you got to realize. I mean, this is affecting not just the basketball world, but you heard him talking about gymnastics a minute ago. So we haven't even thought of that. But we haven't thought about every other sport and every other facet of life and the mall and the people who work everywhere. Yeah, it's just, it's a ripple effect that, I don't think any of us will really know or understand. There'll be economists sitting down trying to analyze, how big of an effect this is going to have on the world. And it's going to be big.
Another team, if you want to watch for something to do, UCLA, Mick Cronin and, your boy Michael Lewis, assistant.
What a turnaround that team has had.
Wow. They got a number 2 seed in the Pac-12 tournament. And I was chatting with Michael yesterday. He was saying, hey, what's Indiana got to do to get in? I'm like, just not lose the first game. He was saying the same thing. He was expecting to be playing Stanford, but they got routed by Cal last night, 63-51. So UCLA will play Cal tonight about the same exact time Indiana's playing, so won't be able to watch that game. But wishing them well, man. I hope they do well. Hope Michael and that crew gets to roll on, but good guy. But, yeah, what a turnaround they've had. I mean, they inherited a crap mess and started out that way, and they ended the season playing hard.
Yeah, if that gives you any indication of what their capabilities are going to be in the future, when they get their recruits in there and are able to, deal with a full roster, it's pretty scary for that conference. Of course, it's the Conference of Champions, as we all know from Bill Walton. So I'm sure he's living the high life right now.
Who?
Yeah.
Living the high life. Living the high life. Well, man,
no pun intended.
So what are you expecting today at the Big Ten tournament?
I expect 4 really good games. The only team I can really say I think has a decided advantage is Iowa. I think Iowa over Minnesota. If Minnesota won that one, that would probably be an eye-opener. Every other game, Minnesota or Michigan, Rutgers, I think everybody's probably going to say Michigan should win because Rutgers, Michigan's more of a history program, and, they've got Isaiah Livers, probably one of the better players in the conference, and they've got a new good coach. And so, You would think Michigan should win, but it's not going to shock me if Rutgers wins. Ohio State, Purdue, certainly not going to surprise me if Purdue wins. The Indiana Penn State game, when they got that game as a picket, I mean, for a reason. I mean, I think whoever wins that game will probably win by double digits. I think Indiana will either win big or lose big.
And then there's the one other game we missed on there. Who is the one other team playing right before Indiana is going to be Michigan State? No, I'm sorry.
No, not
that's
today.
Ohio State, Purdue.
Ohio State, Purdue, yeah.
Iowa. You talk about them, Iowa and Minnesota.
I mean, that's not good. If Iowa lost, that would surprise me, but I don't think they will.
Yeah, me either. I'm looking forward to it. Indiana, Penn State tonight. I think Indiana wins this game. I think that they play well in this building. They're playing well right now, and I think that continues. And I agree with was it Ryan that picked the score earlier? I'm not saying they're going to win by 9, but I think they're going to win this game. I'm going to put it closer to 5. It's going to be a tighter game, but I think they win this game tonight.
Yeah, and I do too. I mean, I know we're both homers, but if you could truly pick any team to play today, it would probably be a toss-up between Minnesota and Penn State. But considering Indiana's already beat Minnesota twice and played them in the last week and a half, I'd almost rather play Penn State right now. And, teams seem to figure out that third time that you play them in a season. It's usually not the charm in college basketball. So, I think if you had anyone to choose to play today, it certainly wouldn't be Purdue, and it wouldn't be Ohio State, and it wouldn't be Iowa, and it probably wouldn't be Michigan or Rutgers. So, I mean, I think Indiana's got the draw they want. I mean, they've just got to go out and play well. I mean, you're at the time in the tournament and in the season where you're going to play good teams every night. There's not going to be a bad team Indiana plays for the rest of the season. So you're going to have to play well in order to win. And you're not going to skate by without playing well.
Nope, because your next 3 games, potentially, Penn State, Maryland, Michigan State. All teams that have been in the top 5 of the Big Ten all season long.
Yep.
So it's going to be a tough road to hoe, but they're playing in a building where they play well, and we'll see what they've got.
Yeah, they're playing as well as anyone does in this building. And, it just comes down to, executing now, and nobody really knows what the atmosphere is going to be like. So, but both teams have to deal with it. So it's not really advantage or disadvantage either way. It's time to go out and play. And, I think the players will probably be more focused than everyone else involved. I mean, you and we're trying to host an Indiana sports show, and we're talking about the coronavirus and the IHSAA and, the mall and everything else in the world. And the players will not be in that situation. I mean, they'll be focused all day today. They're probably eating breakfast not long ago, and they're watching film right now. And, they'll go back and rest and watch games for a little bit, and then they'll be right back at it and watching some more film and preparing and eating dinner and then getting ready for the game. So they'll be more focused than the rest of us are because they don't have a bunch of other craziness going on.
Well, I'm ready to get focused. We're going to cut the show a little short today because we got another show to do tonight, and then another show to do tomorrow, and then hopefully another one to do tomorrow night. So we got a lot of stuff going on, but there's a lot of games that we want to get to. Got to get out to the stadium and see what's going on with that. But we appreciate everybody joining us today. Most importantly, we appreciate Shon Morris being on with us, and of course the fans. Without you guys, it's pointless. But we appreciate all you guys. Make sure you join us tonight after the game with Todd Leary, of course, live from the Tap on Mass Ave in Indianapolis, as we are here live for the men's Big Ten tournament. Hopefully that continues to go on. Indiana taking on Penn State tonight. Hopefully we're talking about another win, and I think we're going to be. But join us on Facebook Live. Make sure you also go to the Rivals, or the Indiana Rivals, thehoosier.com. Sign up. Get yourself an account there. It costs you nothing. Just get an account. We've got all of our shows are going to be on there as well, so you can catch all that. But you've also got tons of recruiting content with Baumgart and Taylor Lehman with complete coverage here of the tournament as well. So make sure you go there and get signed up. But that's going to wrap it up for us today. Todd, let's go see some games, man. Thanks a lot to Jake. And until tonight, I will see you guys on the radio.